I'm gonna give you 5 ways to get a grip on your marriage. Before it slips, or if it's slipping right now, if it has slipped completely off, maybe you're about to jump the boat. Before you jump off that boat and say, look, I'd rather drown in the ocean than go any further with you. It may be the hand that catches you even when you're drowning right now. If you're drowning right now and you're going down for the count, the first thing I'd do is give you a hand, and the hand would have 5 points. Number 1, I want to talk to you about the art of knowing. The art of knowing. The art of knowing. The art of knowing. The Bible says that the man dwells with the woman according to knowledge. Knowledge, the art of knowing. Not assumptions. Knowing. In order to know who you're married to, there has to be an ongoing interchange between you, and they have to be important enough for you to watch them. The type of knowing that I'm suggesting that you need in a relationship is an ongoing knowing that you are forever a student of the person you love. Forever a student of the person you love. The very fact, you don't have to be a professor, you don't have to be a professor, forever a student. The very fact that you're a student says you're still interested in me. But when you think you're a professor in loving me and you walk away, it reads out to me that you are no longer interested. So the Bible says, dwell with her according to knowledge. You'll be able to stay as you continue to know. Okay? Now, for the person who needs to be studied and needs to be watched, which is all of us at different times, it kind of helps if you make yourself a little interesting. How many of you have ever studied paint drying on the wall? I'm back. The art of knowing means that you have to make a conscious investment in being a student of that other person. I didn't say an investigator. I didn't say a 007 snoop. I didn't say a private investigator who's going through their phone and going through their mail. What is this about? What's going on? No. Study me. And then you won't have to watch this. The art of knowing. You dwell with them according to knowledge. This is why the Bible encourages the first year to be a development year, learning foundation, and then building on that foundation, and periodically understand that you have to amend the Constitution. And you have to sit down and talk and get to know them again. In order to get to know them again, you got to date them again. And in order to date them, as I define dateness, it's not the cutesy, hotsy-totsy stuff where we pretend to be something that we're not for 3 hours in the evening and go back home. But let's get down to the bricks and the rocks and the mortar of getting engaged in life together and connecting with each other. The art of knowing means we have to periodically go through the whole romance process again and find out, who are you now? Who are you now? Where are you now? My famous all-time line, my wife will tell you this right now, is, what do you mean by that? Don't say nothing to me if you don't want me to say that, because when I ask you that, I want to be sure that I understand what you said. And I'm going to get into that a little bit deeper, because just because you said the same words doesn't mean that you meant the same thing. The art of listening. The art of listening. We spend a lot of times telling you to communicate. I'm telling you, communication is not as important as listening. In fact, most of the couples I counsel, everybody's talking, nobody's listening. In fact, you can bring them in your office and set them down, and she's talking. She comes in and she goes to talk. The reason we call this meeting with you, Pastor, is because I just didn't know what else to do. I'm just sick of him. I'm sick. And he's curled over and he didn't want to come no way, okay? And so then when you finally get him to talk, generally, and he starts talking, well, I wouldn't be like that if she went on, and all the while she talks, the way, and after a while, once you get them going real good, they're just waiting on each other to take a breath so they can get the next punch in. And pretty soon in your office, you're seeing a reenactment of what goes on in the house every day. Everybody's talking and nobody's. I pray God would anoint your ears to hear Not your outer ear, your inner ear. And that your inner ear would have the humility to say, what do you mean by that? Not to assume that what you heard is what she said. In fact, I've gotten so bad about that statement now that in a business meeting, I'll stop in the middle of a business meeting and they'll make a presentation. I'll say, wait a minute, let me tell you what I heard and you tell me if that's what you meant. Because this business about listening and get it right, it's not easy. There's an art to listening. And I bet you can go to DBU, you can go to SMU, you can go to TCU, all the alphabets you want to go to. There's not one class on listening. I bet you didn't take it in high school either. I bet you didn't take it in elementary school, and yet everything you learn is based on your ability to listen. Are you listening at what I say? Are you listening at my nonverbal communication? Because many men communicate nonverbally. Some women also communicate nonverbally. So when I'm talking about listening, this is not just a word game. It's also learning my method of communication so we can row together in this boat effectively. You've got to develop the art of listening. And you can catch a falling marriage if you can listen. Because generally, people leave each other for simple stuff. Simple stuff. They generally leave each other for stuff the other person could have provided. It's not the great big stuff, the calculus of marriage. It's the little simple things that either make it or break it. The difference between happiness and hell is little things. A family that's going through hell could be a happy place. They're miserable over little things. What are the little things that you are getting wrong, and are you willing to change them? You might not fix all of them, just fix enough of them that you can get Fred on the boat and y'all can get back together again, and he can do some fixing and you can do some fixing, because it's not going to be one-sided fixing. I can hear somebody right now, they're saying, yes, get them, Jakes, get them. Oh, that's right. They're going to be in the car saying, that's right. If you just listen to me, that's right. Shut up! I'm not just talking to her, I'm talking to you. Just because somebody talks soft doesn't mean they're not serious. Just because he talks soft doesn't mean he's not serious. Most of the time we're too busy to listen. And if you don't listen, you're going to lose. And then you're going to pay all of these professionals to come in and help you listen. You're going to pay a counselor so much money an hour to tell you what she said. And you're going to sit there with the wife that you've been with for years, and somebody who just met them is going to say, what she's saying is... And if you don't listen to the counselor because you storm out of there, we're not going back to counseling, then you're going to end up with a lawyer who's going to say, now what he's saying is, and you're going to get this much, and all of them are going to bill you. They're gonna make money off of you because you will not listen. Money you could have spent in the Bahamas, money you could have gone to South Africa with, money you could have spent a week in Hawaii with, you're gonna spend all kind of money dividing up stuff you worked all your life to get because you won't